So, hi, I'm Irene, and I'm from the University of Portland with the KDUP College Radio.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and so this will probably be published in our online e-zine.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
So I just wanted to start off with a little background info. So you're from Vancouver, Canada?
I'm actually from Vancouver Island.
Oh, okay.
The rest of the band is from Vancouver, though.
Okay.
For the most part. And so I grew up in Victoria on Vancouver Island, and that's where I still live there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you tend to go back there often, or are you always like traveling around?
It's home base for me, so when we go somewhere, when I fly home to Victoria.
Okay.
So I go back. I'm there all the time. I live there. So it's more like the tours are the little traveling bits, and then I go home.
And then, so for this new album, how long exactly did you guys have to work to build it all up and push out the final product?
I think that Carl and John, who are the two, AC Newman and John Collins, worked on it together for the most part, and I think they probably spent five months or 6 months on it. Carl was doing a soundtrack for a movie called The F Word at the same time, and so it's a little bit hard to know because him and John were working on that at the same time as the new record, so it's kind of hard to say exactly how long. I mean, my parts, like we all go in separately and we all do our parts separately, and so I was in there for maybe a week and a half all told. I mean, I think it was a week the first part, and then a day or two here and there and the second, and like sort of later on in the process. So my parts were done pretty quickly, but then they spend a lot of time tinkering and changing things and changing structures and changing melodies, and there's a lot of it's quite the process actually from start to finish. If you hear a song at the beginning, it can almost be unrecognizable by the end of the process. Yeah. And
then is the songwriting a collective effort, or is it just like one person here, one person there?
It is the songwriting. The songwriting is Carl and Dan.
Okay.
We've got Dan songs and Carl songs. So.
Okay.
And as far as the arrangements go, I'll go in and I'll do my part, and for example, Todd Fancy will come in and do his guitar parts, and that's the recording part. But the songwriting, the songs are written by Carl and Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, when did you get involved with the new Pornographers?
I joined in 2005.
Okay.
I joined for Twin Cinema. I sang on the record and played piano on the record, and then shortly after they asked me if I wanted to come on tour.
And then it just evolved from there. Very nice. And when did you get involved with music?
I was probably about 5.
Oh.
My parents were both piano players, and both very musical, so it was always something that was around the house, and I really liked it, and it made sense to me, and so I just kind of always just chose to do it. I chose to pick it up. I chose to play piano. I really liked piano lessons. I really liked practicing, which is such a, can be kind of a weird thing, But I think the key, what was kind of cool was that when I was about 9, we moved to Europe for a few years, my family, and I didn't really do any official music in those sort of between the ages of 10 and 16, or 8, what did I just say, 9 to 16. There was about 7 years there where I did sort of stuff involved, like I was in choirs and I was, involved in music class at school, but I didn't really have any formal lessons like I'd had earlier on. And so when I came, and then at some point when I was in my teens, about 16, I decided that I wanted to do it again. And so then I was kind of old enough to take my own initiative. That was something that I really wanted to do. It was never something that was kind of forced upon me. And so maybe that gave me more motivation than I would have had otherwise. I don't know. It's hard to say.
And can you ever see yourself doing anything else besides making music?
I don't know. I don't really know. I can't even imagine what the future holds. So I would like to think that I'm flexible enough that if something were to happen and I no longer had a music career, that I could do something else. But I don't want to. I don't want to do something else. So probably not. Probably music is the thing that I'll do for the rest of my life, regardless of whether I have a career or not.
And then, do you have any advice for aspiring musicians? I'm sure I have lots of advice for aspiring musicians.
I guess I would just say, just do it a lot. If you really want to be great at what you do, just do it a lot. Practice a lot, perform a lot, write a lot, treat it like a serious pursuit, and then there's Steve Martin has some quote that I saw. I'm not even sure. It was on the internet, so who knows, but it'd be so good that they can't ignore you. Isn't that a Steve Martin quote?
I feel like it is.
And so I would suggest that, because you can do it by luck. You can just luck of the draw end up, and a lot of it's luck. A lot of it's being in the right place at the right time, and a lot of it is just pure coincidence. And but you also have to have the chops to back it up at the end of the day. So take some of the guesswork out of it and some of the luck out of it, and just be awesome.
And when you were college age, what music did you listen to?
For me, college would have been kind of early 2000s. So I was really into Iron and Wine, and I was really this is sort of, I guess, so maybe we're talking 2004, 2003. What big records were out? Ted Leo and the Pharmacists. This band called the Constantines. They're a Canadian band that are really great. The Arcade Fire. I was full on indie rock. I was in the full on indie rock phase of my life. Elliott Smith, actually, he was a big one. Who else was I listening to? Yeah, those are a good place to start. That's what I was listening to.
Very cool.
And then, I'm sure some bits of classical and a little bit of jazz. I was kind of all over the place. Classic rock, Joni Mitchell, Led Zeppelin. It really was all over the place.
Yeah, very well-rounded.
Thank you.
And what's your favorite part of just being a musician?
I think my favorite part of being a musician is taking nothing and turning it into a piece of music. I think that's something that I don't understand. I mean, I understand how it works, but there's some kind of brain thing that goes on that I almost feel has nothing to do with me personally. It's you sit down at the computer or whatever, and you start creating a song. And if I'd sat down an hour later, it would be a totally different song, or an hour earlier, it would have been a totally different song. And so there's something sort of out of the control of the person involved that happens when you're creating music, and I really like that. I like that kind of philosophical quality to it, where you can kind of go, I don't know where this came from exactly. I know that I sat here and I made these decisions, but sometimes the decisions just kind of happen without you consciously deciding them. Also, traveling is a great. I really like going to see different places and visiting. Like, I love going to Europe, and I love that I have some family in Europe, and it generally means that I get to see them. And same with kind of like doing the tours around Canada and stuff. Like, I have family in all these places, and otherwise you never get to see anybody if you don't go. And I don't know that I would ever go if I wasn't on tour, if there wasn't sort of another reason. As much as I would like to visit my family, it can be hard sometimes to make the time to kind of go on these trips specifically to see people. So it's nice. It's really nice for me that I get to do that.
And would you say that you have sort of a life-work balance, or is it just like creativity all the time? I think I have a pretty good balance. Like, creativity is something that I always have to kind of force myself to sit down and do, because as much as I enjoy doing it, there are lots of things during the day that can kind of distract you from that, distract me from that. And so although I value all these different things. I value having time to spend with friends, or like my niece and nephew, and and I think that those your life experiences feed into your work. And so if you don't ever have any life experiences, well then if you aren't doing anything other than working, then how do you have a perspective on work or a perspective on music? Or so I think it's really important to do other things as well. But sometimes there is no balance. Sometimes it's just there's a deadline and you have to do it and you have to get it done. And so I don't know that there's really a perfect. There's a sort of some. I've quit striving for some kind of perfect work-life balance, and I just kind of go with the flow, or try to go with the flow. Yeah, and do you feel like life's fluctuations help you, or rather harm you, in actually just thinking music and creating new things?
Depends on what they are. If it's something like emotional that's happened, if there's sort of been a big life change, I find that that's really helpful to creativity, because I've got a lot of stuff that I have to get out, or like I'm in this certain mood, a very strong mood, and I'll kind of, my music will reflect that whenever I'm writing. And then there are other life things that kind of get in the way, like if it's something too huge, then it can kind of be a bit distracting from the creative process. So I guess it really just depends on what we're talking about.
And then besides personal experiences, are you influenced by other musicians in your genre or other genres?
Oh yeah, always. I'm constantly listening to things, and it seeps in there. Even if whether or not I want it to, it'll be in there, and which is why I kind of have to be a little bit careful about what I listen to right before writing, specifically. Like right before writing music, I can't be listening to things that I don't like, or things that I don't find, in the right. If I'm listening to garbage, basically, then I'll write garbage, And if I'm listening to the kind of music that I'm like trying to go for, then I'll end up writing like that. It's definitely like a cause and effect, a direct cause and effect, of what I'm listening to.
And then what are some of your favorite albums or songs or artists you're listening to right now?
Well, I think one of my favorite bands of all time is the Velvet Underground, and I keep coming back, and I was listening to them last night, and they're just such a great band. What else am I listening to right now? Do you mean modern, or do you mean anything?
Anything at all.
Anything at all. I've been really loving the new War on Drugs record. That's a really fun record. Or the latest. I don't even know if it's new anymore, but the latest War on Drugs record. And lots of things. I don't know. I can't remember those two. Let's say the Velvet Underground and War on Drugs right now.
Cool. And then, how would you describe Brill Bruisers as an album?
I would describe it as pretty lively and filled with cool synths and fun sounds and great songs that I didn't write, but that I love listening to every night.
And then how is the atmosphere when the band is on tour? Is it like solemn and focused, or is it just lively like this album?
It really depends. It depends on kind of where we are and the collective mood of everybody, you know. I think that, you know, it's just a group of people, and we're all pretty good friends, you know, we're all good friends, so it's fun. Most of the time it's just really fun and mellow, you know, like we kind of do our thing, you know. There's enough people in the band that there's never no one to hang out with. Mm-hmm. There's always something to do or somebody to talk to, or people making jokes and talking about music.
And then when you guys are on tour, do you guys have at least some downtime to enjoy the cities that you guys are in?
Yeah, it depends. Mostly we'll have the afternoon or like the morning maybe, you know. Depends on how late the night before was and, you know, how much drinking we were doing. Sometimes it's just too crazy and you just need your sleep. Mm-hmm. But I like to try and go out and see places depending on how tired I am. Yeah. So there is some time. But it's not like going and being on vacation. Mm. You know, you don't get like a full day and a full evening to just kind of see what's up. Mm-hmm. You're playing a show that night, so you have a limited time, a limited window, and if you don't use it, next time, next round.
And have you been able to go around Portland this time around?
We went to Pok Pok last night.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it was really good. So a little bit, you know, went to Powell's today, hit the major, you know, Pok Pok last night, Powell's today, and I kind of walked around this neighborhood a little bit, looking for food, you know, that kind of thing.
And do you see yourself making lots more music, like decades and decades from this moment, or do you see yourself going into a different hobby or something else?
I don't know. You know, I'm assuming that I'll just make music and I'll write records and I'll sing, you know, for the rest of my life. It's not to exclude other hobbies, because I have other hobbies, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be making music because it's just so fun and awesome, and why wouldn't I? You know, I'm not tired of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think you can. I think that's one of the great things about music, is that it's hard to get tired of. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get tired of it because there's always so many things you can do with it. Like if you really love music, that you could just pick up a new instrument if you got tired of your instrument, or you could start recording if you don't really like practicing playing an instrument, or you could, you know, join a choir if you like singing but you don't play an instrument, or you could, you know, there's all kinds of things you can do with it. So, and you just keep learning all the time, and so that's what I find fun, is that I can just keep going. Mm-hmm. You just keep going as long as your body is able to.
And do you have a favorite instrument to play?
I mean, I think that my favorite thing to do is sing.
Oh, okay.
it feels great, like involves your whole body, and it's so fun. And then second would be piano, because that's or keyboard, because that's my instrument. That's what I learned first. And then I love the sound of the cello and the violin and the violas. I love all those. They're so beautiful, and I wish I could play them, but that's okay. I'm happy listening. And maybe when I'm done with the piano, I can pick up the cello again.
And you said that you love to travel, right?
Yeah.
And what's another place that you haven't been to that you want to go to, or what are your favorite places to go?
We haven't been to Iceland. I've never been to Iceland, and I would love to go. That's on my list. South America's on my list. I've been to Costa Rica, but I haven't been anywhere else. I guess that's Central America. But anyway, so, Brazil, Chile, Argentina. I'd love to go. What else are on? Like, anywhere where there's really cool geographical things I'm really drawn to, like Chile, the Atacama Desert, where they have all the, like space, not this, the telescopes and the astronomy stations. And, because it's such a crazy landscape up there, or down there. I would love to go there. And Iceland for the same thing, kind of dramatic, really dramatic geography. And that's why I love driving through Utah and, like the California coast. Same thing, it's just like, just dramatic scenery. Scotland is dramatic as well. And I love going to Scotland. And Ireland is really beautiful and can be dramatic. Yeah, those are the places. I think it's because I'm from BC, and BC has really distinct geographical features. It can be the Pacific Coast, can be really wild, and because it's open ocean. Japan is kind of the next landmass, right? So it's just this heat, like on the west coast of the island where I grew up. So I'm really used to this kind of dramatic landscape, so that's really what I'm looking for when I go on vacation. I don't think I ever knew that until just now. When I think that has clarified some of my traveling choices. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I feel like maybe because you seek that drama and those fluctuations in life, that can add on to your levels of creativity and just how your brain can process all the ups and downs and just let it flow.
Yeah. The metaphor of the dramatic geographical landscape is a metaphor for the dramatic turbulence in life. Yeah.
Exactly.
That we try to visit and make sense of.
And what has been your favorite part of touring?
Well, so far, my favorite things that I've done have been going to bookstores and eating. Eating and going to bookstores. Those are my two favorite things. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. That's just like my weekend.
Yeah. Reading, eating, and hanging out.
Yeah. Have you tried any of the food carts here yet, or have you had a chance?
Before I've been here before, and I've tried the food carts, but I didn't get there today. I went to a salad bar today and got salad because it was right there.
Yeah.
And it was very good as well.
Good. And what are some of the things you're looking forward to on this current tour?
I'm looking forward to California. We're going to California kind of later on. I really love going to Denver too. Denver is really fun. I don't know. Now I feel like I'm picking favorites, but I think California is one of my favorite places to go on tour. it's just so warm there and sunny. But it's been beautiful weather here too.
Yeah.
Crazy considering it's the beginning of October. But yeah, I'd say I'm looking forward to San Francisco, playing San Francisco, and some of the places in California that we're playing. LA. We're playing Pappy and Harriet's, which is, I think, somewhere close to the Joshua Tree.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on that. Pioneer Town, wherever that is.
Yeah, I'm from Southern California.
Oh, you are?
Anaheim.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I know some of the places, but
Yeah.
haven't been to Joshua Tree yet.
Okay, yeah. Also dramatic.
Yes.
Cool place.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And do you have any questions for me?
No, I don't think so. What food cart do you recommend?
There's this one that's not too far from here, and it's in the Pioneer Square area.
Yeah.
And it's called Chez Dodo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he is the only chef who's doing like food from either Mauritius or Mauritania.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's really unique. And then since you already had Pok Pok, so I don't know if you're in the mood for more Thai.
Right.
But there's this one called Nong's Khao Man Kai, and it's chicken and rice.
Yeah.
And she just opened a brick and mortar up on the other side of the river, and it's really affordable and super filling.
Okay.
And actually quite good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you get a chance.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
But thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you for
just
doing this.
talking.